very excited to be here. I understand the topic at hand today is our newest certification, which is why I'm bringing Joanna along. So this really is Joanna. I'm just here to observe and provide any commentary I might have. So Joanna, definitely take it away. You're the expert here.
Woot woot. All right. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. For those of you who have taken it already and passed, congratulations. I heard that with Stephanie and Marco and Jimmy. So congrats. That's fabulous. For the rest of you, it is going to be great and you're going to pass it. That's what I'm going to say, because this is honestly, I think, our best exam. I would say that's what I would say. And I've worked on a lot of them. So just a quick introduction about myself before I dive into the slides. I am Joanna Thurmann. I have been with Atlassian for almost 4 years now, but I have been in the ecosystem since before there was JQL and Jira. I'm going to make that my claim to fame. So I was a system administrator of back then when we had an enterprise. We didn't really have that quite yet, but yes, it was an enterprise mission critical system, and it was Jira 3 something at the time. So I went from being a Jira admin of that system for about 6 years and through all the upgrades. And then I went over to a partner at Service Rocket, and I was there for about 6.5 years. And then I came over to Atlassian. So while I was at Service Rocket, I got involved in helping to write certification exams, including the original ACP-100. If you all know the numbers, that was the data center Jira exam. So Jira admin and data center. And then there was a whole bunch more of the certifications that have come out since then. We could talk about those at the very end if anybody wants to, or you can always shoot me an email, jthurman@atlassian.com, or you could just look it up on our community. So I have worked on most of those certification exams, which probably means that in the middle of the night, I wake up and I think about, that's going to be a great question. Is it A? Is it B? I write questions, we peer review, there's all kinds of things that we're involved in. And so I did work on this particular exam. I also wanted to give a shout out to my colleague, Marie Kent. I don't think she's on. She was thinking about joining. But she's in the certification team as well and has put her heart and soul into this exam and the prep course, which if anybody can count the number of times I say exam success course or exam prep course, you win something. Come tell me and I will give you chocolate. That's what I give away at the next team, because I'm going to say exam success course many, many times. All right, so here we go. That's my background and my I guess my credentials for telling you what's on the exam today. All right, so first, if you can kind of go into chat, how many certs do you hold, and are you an ACE already? ACE stands for Atlassian Certified Expert. So how many of you are ACEs? How many certs do you hold? Look at Stephanie go. Yeah. Stephen, you're in the right place. Oh my gosh, and Jimmy has 9+ now. I'm reading. You guys are all reading too. Dan, Marco, you could do it. Stephen, you could do it. Yeah, and Bob's asking, does it count the number of times I said exam success course during the breakout? Yes, I did say it. So you get an advantage there. All right, excellent. So a few of you are ACEs, a few of you have 1, 2, or 5 certs, and and a number of you have none. So that's wonderful. That means I'm going to focus a little bit about just at the very end about exam taking in general and about like exam, sort of best practices. They're in the exam success course as well, just like tips about how to take the exam, what you should or shouldn't do, just kind of best practices for taking it. So for those of you who haven't taken one, we'll try to leave a little bit of time, but I'm going to start out focusing on this one because that's where I've got the slides and that's what the rest of you came to hear. And of course, I do want to hear if I'm saying something and any one of you who have actually started to study or have already taken it, you want to chime in and at the end, add your 2 cents about what the experience was like. That would be fabulous too. Okay, so here's your first question. What do you think the right answer is here? especially for those that have not taken an Atlassian Cert exam yet. They're all multiple choice. There is now generally only one key, which means one right answer. Every so often, see, there you go. That's a good one. I like that one, Bob. How many answers to choose? Just one, because remember, how many should she definitely ignore? So I'm going to say a couple of things. This is just to warm us up. Notice that if you're reading this question, and so this is great for those who have never taken one. Notice the question doesn't say which advice should she take, it's which she should ignore. So make sure you're reading the stem, what we call the question, completely before you answer. Notice that like A, B, C, and D are good ones, right? Well, so if you start to see that's like, well, I could choose A or B or C, then you might have been misreading the question and you're thinking which one should she take as the advice as opposed to ignore, because this is like the equivalent of saying which advice should she not listen to, right? But this way it's ignore. Make sure you're reading the question completely. The other thing is, if there's ever more than one answer to a question, it will have in parentheses choose 2 or choose 3. So you'll always be double queued. It will say which 2 pieces of advice should she, take. Choose 2, for example. So you'll know which 2, and of course that you'll be prompted to do that. By the way, you have to get both right. There isn't partial grading for that. So if there's 2 answers, you have to get both right for that question to count. So anyway, fabulous. Lauren, you get it right. No, everybody else was scared to answer. Lauren, kudos to you. All right. So some basics about this, this particular cert. We have an introductory price right now of $100. Normally our certs are $249, so get it while it's hot. That's the price for now. You're going to have 3 hours for a proctored exam. There's a lot to say about proctoring. I'm going to skip that right now because we could get really bogged down in the weeds. But there's something to be said about like preparation for the actual exam session and and proctoring. But you get 3 hours, so 180 minutes. The passing score is 62%. And you have up to 65 questions. So what that means is about 62 of those questions are scored. I don't actually recall by the minute, but it's 60 or 62. And then we throw in what we call unscored questions, which are sort of ones we're trying to get some statistics around. So you'll see up to 65, you'll be scored on less, and the passing score is 62. What's it about? So what's the exam about? This is it. If you're in the admin hub in the cloud for Atlassian and you have any of the Jira products, Confluence, BitBucket, you're going to see an organization, what we call the Atlassian Cloud organization. If you go to admin.atlassian.com and you are an organization administrator for one or more organizations, this is what you see. So I'm just giving you an example here. I might be an org admin for 3 organizations, and that's what you'd see. And you could select that and get to all of the settings in what we call the admin hub. So the exam is all about that. It's all about the features and settings and things you should and shouldn't do, and troubleshooting things in the admin hub. So exam success course, if you're counting. Exam success course is what you really, really want to do. So if you buy the voucher, you're going to get an exam success course bundled with it. And then you have 90 days to take the exam. The exam success course is going to tell you everything you need to know that's on the exam. So here's an example. You've got modules which are following the sections of the exam. I'll go into each of those in detail in just a sec. And then you've got some resources on the bottom, the exam topics and organization administration glossary, which is what it is. It's a glossary. It defines what is an API key, what are API tokens, what's an IP allow listing. And so you can use that as your reference sheet for studying. You can't take it into the exam setting. You can't take it into a test center. You can't use it when you're taking the online proctored exam, but you should use it like flashcards. You know what I mean? Test yourself on those different words and concepts. So the exam success course has everything. The getting started tells you all about the test taking tips that I mentioned earlier, like how many questions are there, what are you allowed to do, how should you schedule your exam, that kind of stuff. It also walks you through how to set up a sandbox environment so you can actually practice some of these things, because maybe you are an org admin currently at your company, but you don't want to be messing around with the settings. You shouldn't be messing around with the settings in your real production org. So you're going to want to create a test sandbox environment. When we say sandbox, we're not talking about like a sandbox as in the concept that's being tested, but like a test area, a test organization that you can actually, invite dummy users to, and verify a domain and all that kind of stuff. So it walks you through that kind of stuff. Then there are the 4 main sections, which I'll go through in a second. And again, sandbox challenges, which are like prompts for what to do in that test environment to make sure that you've gotten access to all the settings that we're going to ask you about. All right, this is what the exam blueprint looks like. So back here, it says exam topics. This is what it is. So not only does it tell you in detail what percentage of the test is on which major section, but it's telling you that in detail with these bullets, and it's giving you links to resources in the cloud that, like, if you didn't know, like, let's say you're looking at this page and somewhere toward the middle of it, it says transfer products to another organization. You're like, I have no idea what that is. Well, then there's a link there and you can go read about that, which is more resources beyond what we're going to tell you in the exam success course and in the sample question. So you can actually just go straight to the doc and learn about it. So this is a PDF that you get as part of the exam success course. So you're going to pull that down. And then this is a great way for you to check off and like say, this is what I already know. I feel comfortable about this. So like in our breakout, we had a little chat with Jimmy and Sean and Bob, and we talked about, following a study plan. Should we go through one objective per week? An objective is what you see here, 1.1, 1.2. There's 15 of those in total. And I had something to say about that. We'll come back to it in a second. But regardless, if you feel comfortable once you've sort of, done your study, you've learned, you've gone through that section in the exam course, you could say, yep, checked. I feel good about 1.1. So you use it as your little checklist. All right. So then, oh, I love it, Lauren. I'm just checking out the chat. It says we've converted this to checkboxes so the team can check off when they are comfortable with each section. Fabulous idea, Lauren. Love it. The second resource is a organization admin glossary. So check out this. Not only do you get the term that we're going to ask you about on the exam, the definition, but an example of that thing. So this is like another excellent. Again, you can't take that into the actual exam, but like just reading this is already going to give you so much more that you don't have if you don't touch some of those particular settings. So, this is going to be your new best friend here, is these 2 things. All right, so let's get into detailing those 4 main sections. So these are the main sections, and this is how much they count for on the exam, what percentage of the exam falls into each section. The 15 objectives are nestled within those 4 sections. So you want to, even though you might never have heard of IP allow listing, or you just don't, you've heard of it, but you don't know how it works in Jira or in Atlassian, that's fine. But just know that it's only one small bit out of advanced features, which is only 15 to 20% of the exam. And it's only like one of the advanced features versus Atlassian organizations and their structure is 35 to 45%. So you really want to invest your learning in that first, major section and the second one. So, don't be daunted if you're not like, I don't really deal with API tokens. That's okay. Just get the other stuff done right. And if you can get, Atlassian organizations down and users and groups and admin roles, you might not have to know a lot about advanced features and still pass the exam. So, pay attention to that. So let's go through all of these. So the first one is about, just like in general about Atlassian orgs. What about it? Well, how are they structured? That a site is within an organization. You can have multiple sites. You can have multiple products within a site. You can have the same product on different sites within the organization, right? So just sort of understanding the structure. It's particularly multiple sites and products. How do the settings apply? How does it imply to invite? When you invite someone to Jira software, you're inviting them to all Jira softwares you have or just one, right? You need to kind of have a vision of what you're being asked in each particular question. How does product access work? Do people get access automatically? Are they going to get invitation links? Do they have to make an access request? That's another one in this section. product subscription. So what products are you subscribed to and how are you billed for those products? So that's all under this first section of Atlassian organizations. For each one, I'm also going to give you a couple buzzwords, like make sure that you can, right away, like in your mind, that the three main user access settings are approved domains, invitation links, and user invites. And here's the thing I'm going to say about this. That's why the glossary idea came around this time, because there's a lot of like invitation links and user invites sounds the same, but it's not, right? Approved domains, verified domains sounds, and then there's email domains later. Those are all like the word domain in it, but they're different pieces of functionality. So that's why the glossary is super helpful. So here are the buzzwords that you want to sort of really get down pat and, create flashcards for, whatever you're going to do to memorize what these things are. Those are the three main ones to take away from this section, is those three sets of settings under user access settings. All right, second section, users and groups. So here you got to understand managed accounts and non-managed accounts. If your managed accounts means your company owns those accounts. So you have a domain that your company owns, you've verified that domain, and now you're managing those accounts. So for example, @Atlassian is a managed account by, guess who? Atlassian, right? Versus my Gmail account is not managed. So you got to understand the difference between those two types of accounts in your directory and what you could do with them and you can't do with them. Next is product roles. So when you invite people to a product, what role do they have in the product and how do they get that role? Also managing groups. Whoops, sorry, a little too fast. Also managing groups. So what are the default groups? What groups can you create? What are those default groups that provide access to the product, or just groups that might be used within a product for some specific functionality? You got to really get that understanding. And then third, analyze and troubleshoot group changes. So here, I'm going to pause for just a quick second to give you some tips to know, but it's also in the beginning of the about the exam that talks about the fact that you only really need to know a little bit about Jira and Confluence. So this is like, whoa, right? Mind blowing, because this is Atlassian and we all came from the Jira world and everybody feels like you have to know Jira. But this exam is also partly for people that come from like IT and they manage user directories, right? And now they're inheriting this job of owning user accounts, managed accounts, groups, and users. They may actually not know a ton about Jira or Confluence. So the only part that we really, so you don't have to have done the ACP-120 in order to do the 520 or the ACP-520, which is the Confluence-based administration. You actually don't need to know a ton. What you do need to know, we tell you in the Exam Success Course, which is you need to know how a particular change to a group could affect something in just those two products. Well, actually, it's more than two because it's the Jira family of products and Confluence. So I'll just give you an example. If you delete a group and where are groups used in Jira? Anybody want to give me a shot? It's not a sample question, but anybody want to say where are groups used in Jira? Give me a couple options here.
Permissions.
Okay, permissions, great. Global
Notifications.
permissions, notifications, yep.
Automations.
Excellent. Filter subscriptions, that's another one, right? What'd you say? What did you say, Stephanie? What was the last thing you said?
Oh, no, I was agreeing with you.
Yeah, okay, yeah, exactly. Filters, filter subscriptions or sharing filters. Well, so if you change a group name if you change a group name, if a JQL may break, that's actually, looking for that name of a group. If you delete a group, people might not get the filter subscription, right? So you got to be aware of how a group change may affect something, not just access to a product, but some functionality within the product. But because that's a lot, we actually really we walk it out, we spell it out for you so that you don't have to go and learn all of Jira in order to be able to answer those questions. Okay. But it's important to know, because if you are coming from the IT world and you don't really deal with Jira, you'd be like, oh, I don't know what this ABC group's about. I'm going to just nuke it. I don't need it. But it's like, somebody else might need it. Okay. So the buzzwords in this section are verify domains. You would do that when you want to have a managed account. You might verify more than one domain. So if you own Atlassian and you own Atlassian HQ, or I don't know, I'm making it up now, you might want to verify those domains so that you can claim those managed accounts as your accounts for your organization. Once you have them, you might want to deactivate or delete an account or suspend access, and you really got to understand which of those options are available for which type of account, managed or non-managed. Okay, sample question time. So beep, 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 wake up now, guys. I want to hear it from you. Which answer do you think is true? This is a sample question, so I'm not giving away any production questions. Sorry, I would get shot right after this if I did. So I know Suzanne's like, shoot.
I'm not going to shoot you.
Not a production question, sample question. It's in the exam success course. But in case you haven't seen that exam success course, I'm testing you. So I'm going to shut up now, give you 30 seconds to read and answer this. Don't be shy. I feel like the rest of you don't want to answer because you're like, well, Jimmy and Stephanie, Jimmy and Marco already took the exam and they okay, the three of you are barred from answering.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yes, it was C. But tell me why it's not A. Thank you for that cue, Bob. All right. So here's why it's not A. This is the advantage of the exam success course. That each and every sample question, and you really got to do this. Everybody who's done an cert exam or is preparing for one, don't just be like, cool, I got it right. Because you may have gotten it right for a different reason than it's right. And also by reading the incorrect answers, you're going to learn something else. So we give you a really comprehensive explanation of each and every option and why it's right or wrong. So in this case, Bob, it's not definitely true. So users can be members of multiple groups, and if desired, groups could be configured to be mutually exclusive, but they don't have to be. So that's why A is not correct. And I'm sure you knew that and you were just prompting me. So thank you. Kudos for that. And then Stephen said, my first thought would have been D, thinking the default groups could have been deleted, just that you aren't immune to the consequences of doing so. Yeah, but at least that main group can not be deleted. So the site admins group, which by the way is a product change, and I'm going to get to that. That group is now called org admins. But I have a lot to say about product changes, so I'll save that for later. Actually, I'll say it now so I can repeat it again. What you read in the success course is what's on the exam. So we do recognize that product changes occur, which is a good thing. They're great. They're great changes. We love product changes, except that, we lag a little bit in the maintenance of our courses and our exams to be able to keep up with that. But the correlation between the course and the exam is always there. So if we update the exam success course, we update the exam. That's why you should refer to the course, for your study. But I'm going to mention like 3 things that you might see right away that are different if you sign up for a site now versus if you had an existing site and before the changes, got to you through the updates. Okay, so you got a little bit of an idea on that sample question. Okay, so third section is about admin roles. And these are the admin roles that we're testing you on. Org admins, product admins for Jira, project admins for Jira, Confluence product admins, and Confluence space admins. And again, you might be like, wait, you told me I don't have to know much about Jira and Confluence. That's right. But this is the only other objective. There's only one other one here that talks about it, and we will teach you what you need to know. So again, the reason is because part of the job of an org admin is to grant administrative access to product admins. Who are the people that are allowed to archive issues or delete project or create custom fields. And you don't want to just arbitrarily give that out to thousands of people, right? Not good governance if you're making everybody a product admin. So we want you to understand, we want the org admin to understand what power they're bestowing when they grant somebody those product admin privileges before they do it. So that's why that particular area of the exam is here. And then similarly to product admins and space admins. So, so the buzzwords here is how do you revoke or grant the admin role, particularly the org admin role, and that the site admins group comes up all the time, which is now called org admin. So this is probably the #1 product change people notice, is that if you sign up for a site today, I actually just did yesterday for a brand. I have like 10 organizations when I go to Admin Hub. From all my testing, but when I signed up for one, you get the org admin group, which used to be site admins. So on the exam, you'll see site admins all the time. That's the same as org admins. And so again, if you look at the exam success course, it'll tell you that. All right. So now the advanced features. So again, the least bit of the exam is on all of these things. So this is where your eyes might glaze over just a little. Custom email addresses, which by the way, only apply to Jira product. Release tracks, sandboxes, IB allow listing, admin insights, admin APIs, application tunnels, and a little bit about Atlassian access. That's like a whole thing, a whole domain of knowledge right there. We have a course on Atlassian Access. The bit that you need to know for the exam is very specific. So, so we're going to tell you what that is, and don't stress about it. The things, and one of them is like shadow IT, that you could see where other people have signed up for other organizations, but they're part of your managed accounts. So that's what, sort of like, it's IT that you own because somebody in your organization has started a site elsewhere, but it's not a site that, that you really are managing, but they've started and they've become an org admin of something else. And then this other thing to know here is revoking API tokens. Those might be like things that, you might want to look at closer. Okay, wake up again, ding, ding, ding. Another sample question. What do you think this is? And if you know nothing about org admin, take a guess. And the three of you who passed, do not answer this one. Stephanie, Marco, and Jimmy. Thanks for the clue there, Jimmy. Little sneak. Okay. All right. You guys are still thinking, see? Be brave, be brave. Okay, but this brings me to this point. Do not leave any questions unanswered. You do not get dinged for answering wrong. You get dinged if you don't answer. So guess, right? So your first, so if all else fails, you can always flag questions. So again, for those ones who haven't taken a proctored exam before, you can flag questions in the window for returning to later. So for example, if you're like, I have no idea, flag it, come back to it later. When you come back to it, if you still don't know, guess, right? But next to E, but we love Trello. All right, I love it. It was D. So who got D? F. There was no F. Oh, there was an F, sorry. Okay. Why was it D? Because release tracks are only available for Confluence with your previous plan, and this is a sandbox. So the preview track is available because the preview track is only available for sandboxes. So you had to have read this to say that this is Confluence Sandbox Premium and that you wanted the preview track. So bundled changes being added early means the preview track. That doesn't mean any.
Can I take my right answer and apply it to the real exam?
Yeah. There you go. Yes, you get karma credit. Okay, you know what I mean? Okay. All right, we're almost at the end of my slides because I want to leave room for questions. So what's important? Study the exam success course and also practice, tinker with stuff, particularly user access settings. Like you just can't get around with it. And it's really not hard to sign up for a new organization. You have a 7-day free trial of any of the editions, and you can just sign up for standard and then like go back down to free. And then, at worst, go back up to standard for like another trial if you really need to. But like you don't have to actually put in your credit card to be able to play with the majority of these features. So that's my bit there. So practice. In the exam success course, there are these things called exam hints. So here for this, whatever this section is, there's 3 of them. Super important too. So like if you were to read the success course from beginning to end, or to go through the success course, in e-learning, it would probably take you about 10 hours is my guess. If you're pacing yourself, that's a good amount to read. But if you do nothing else, do sample questions and do the exam hints and then read the glossary, because the exam hints are really going to try to tell you, like, focus on this stuff. It's the most important thing to know. And it's sort of like pay attention to the language. And, in this case, the hint is trying to say the group name doesn't necessarily tell you what it gives access to. So just because something is called Confluence Reviewers doesn't mean it actually does anything in Confluence. It might actually be something that provides product access to Jira software and not any sort of access to Confluence at all, because the group name doesn't matter, except if it's the site admins group, which is now called org admins. Okay. So I've said this already, create a sandbox. I'm going to go on. Do that because I want to get to product changes. So product changes occur frequently in the cloud, and that's great. So the exam reflects what's in the course, which is why you need to read the course. But I'm going to tell you 3 very important things in particular. Site admins, what used to be called site-admins, was a very, very special group. You can't delete it. You can't rename it. You can't do anything. It's like the group of all org admins. Now it's called org admins. So on the exam, you'll only see site admins. When we refresh the exam and the course, community will know. And if you go through the exam, you'll know. But that's one change. Second one is, there are 2 options now under user access settings, user invites, which we don't test about because they weren't there when this first went out. And those are to, if you see under user invites, you can now say you want to only invite people who are in your approved domains or who don't allow invites. So those were 2 additional options, and just FYI, we're not going to ask about them, but I'm just saying you might notice and be like, what is this? So there you go. And then there is a new product role that was introduced for user access admin for a product. And we don't ask about it because it wasn't there with the current version of the exam and success course. So it's not under the administrative privileges part of the exam. Another thing that's in beta is renaming groups. I don't have a slide on that, but you couldn't rename groups up until now when that went into beta. So yay for that one. That's like a Jira 10 ticket or something, the ability to rename groups, right, Jimmy? It's an old one I think all of us have voted on. All right. And then Jimmy Sudden, in his own words, can you read that for us, please, sir?
Sure. So first, a huge kudos to you and the team for the CERT prep course. I was absolutely the best one I've seen in the university. There were a ton of really good sample questions, and I felt that understanding both the correct and incorrect answers gave a really wide base of knowledge to be able to pass the exam. I love the hint boxes with tips on what to pay attention for language-wise when selecting your answers to determine the absolute correct one. The glossary of terms was a crucial element.
Woot woot. I did ask your permission to, I can add that.
Yes.
That was
So thank you.
Give me. So there you go. And Jimmy should know, because like you see, he's got 9+ certs and he's an ace. So if he thinks it's the best one, then do it. And that's my plug for all of you. You can do it. You can do it. I'm going to stop sharing and go to, so we can see everybody and you can ask questions.
Before we get to questions, that was amazing, Joanna. Thank you so much for putting that together. I truly appreciate it. I knew right when I asked you, you would understand the assignment. So thank you so much for coming to my rescue and putting that together. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Oh, welcome.
It's great. All right, Q&A for everybody. Anybody have questions for Joanna or for Jimmy and me who've taken the test and passed it, or just in general for each other?
So one thing I'll put out there that wasn't quite mentioned, but worth noting, when you set up your test environment, because I'm assuming you will set up a test cloud organization, some of those advanced features are premium subscription, and you can sign up for a free premium subscription for 30 days. So if you schedule things appropriately, you should be able to have free access to premium features so that you can go through those things before taking the exam.
Sean asks what our least favorite question was. I think for me, the questions having to do with application tunnels and data residency really required me to get a deeper understanding. They don't come up in the test much, but it was definitely in the exam preparation course. So I did learn it. And I'm glad that I did. Learning about the data residency has actually helped me because I'm currently on a contract with a defense contractor, and data residency is important to them. So yeah. Does it count if I say it? Wait a minute. Bob, are you yanking my chain here? What's up?
Well, yeah, there's a little bit of fun. I mean, I'm keeping a running count of how many times Joanna has said it.
Does it count if I say it?
You said it. I mean,
I don't know. We'll say yes.
Now my math is completely off, and I'm not going to get a prize tonight. I'm sad.
Jimmy, what was your least favorite exam question?
I don't want to say the exact. I know the exact question. I don't want to say it for the sake of just. I will just say it was in the admin roles section. It's the only one I know I got wrong because it's the only one I had to guess on. So, yes, I will say it was definitely in the admin roles.
Yeah.
Just what in terms of the course itself, because as a training partner, we deliver this training as well. Or we haven't actually run this particular course yet, but we're about to. So we'll be running it for people, and they'll be getting the labs and being able to do ILT training. But then is the only way to buy the exam if they want to go to it is to buy the certification prep course where they essentially get that same content again? Or can they buy it separately?
You get the prep course for free when you buy the certification.
Yeah.
So basically, like they're buying a seat in your class to learn the content through the IEP, right, and do the labs and all that, and then to actually take the cert, they're going to have to buy the cert, and the exam course comes with it. So
so they're getting it sort of twice.
Yeah. Well, no. But that's the thing. They're different. So same but different. Let me try to explain that really quickly.
Okay.
There's three, because think about it this way. Not everybody wants to get certified, but people need to learn the content, right? So and some people learn best on demand. They just want to do self-paced training, right? And some people want an ILT class or VLT. So the VLT class has the demos and all of the labs. The on-demand won't have the labs, right? It's like more condensed training. The exam success course focus specifically, it's like fire hose of the other two, because it teaches you very, very fast and then quizzes you and does knowledge checks. So they're not getting exactly the same content, and they're getting content
that's a good bonus.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's sort of it's a great way to test how much they understood from your ILT class, to be honest, because they get like 50 sample questions, which is a lot. If there's 60 up to 65 in the exam, they give 50 sample questions. If you do pretty well in those, you have a good gauge that you're ready, Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did want to really quick. I want to show you. I totally forgot, so I apologize. Let me see if I can get to here. So the 520. Are you seeing my browser by chance right now?
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Somebody asked, like, how do I get those preparation courses? So this is the actual page on our Atlassian University site about the course. You could see that that offer price here. This tells you about the sections that we went through. You can pull down the exam topics right here to get that, but the rest of the course you have to sign up. And the courses, the learning path is right here. So if you click on this, you'll see, you know, the course that you can learn. So this is the way to get here. Okay.
Thanks, Joanna.
I've got.
Whee!
Oh, did you all see that? I was like, wow.
Inception.
Yes. Yes. I would like to, before we change tracks or anything or start wrapping up, if you can put your video on, I would like to get a screenshot so that I can post this as like, hey, we had an event. So for those of you who are apparently caving, I don't know. Andy's
walking
like
in the dark.
Yeah, but yeah, if you
train
can
station.
turn on your camera, please, I would love it. Just so I can for like 5 minutes here, and I can see everybody's
heard
faces.
a lot of New York in that room. I'm walking here.
I'm walking. Yeah. All right.
Well,
all right.
Let me know when you can take a screenshot. I'll try and get.
We're gonna take the screenshot right now. So. Stand under a street lamp or something. I don't know. Everyone, 3, 2, 1, smile. Wait. There we go. Got it. Finally. All right. Thank you so much. Joanna, thank you so much for being here. Do you want to put your email in the chat for people if they want to reach out to you directly?
Yeah.
And then
LinkedIn, you know, all that.
Yeah, that'd be great. And then for those of you who are actually in Las Vegas, our October event, if I can get a venue, we're going to do a in-person event. I think I figured out that the cadence that that seems to be like people are kind of okay with is we'll do 2 virtuals and then 1 in person. So we'll do 1 in person about every quarter. But that means October will be in person if I can get a venue. So I'm working on that part. And if anybody knows of a good venue here in Las Vegas, let me know because I am looking. It is, as always, the 3rd Wednesday of the month. So that will be in October. That's, I want to say the 7th, close, 18th. So October 18th. Terrific. Anybody have any other questions before we wrap up?
Oh, good.
All right. Well, thank you all for being here. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. And thanks again to Joanna and Suzanne and Jamie. There you are. I was like, Jamie. And Jamie for being here. And we'll see some of you next month and others of you maybe in November because we'll definitely be back to virtual in November. All right.
Excellent.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Thank you.